How many have already chanted 16 rounds? Me too. So we're minimum, we'll try, for those that can. Whoa. Subal, the microphone stand has a problem. The dropsy disease. Okay. This morning's class is morning class is deliberately not so much information, some, but mainly inspiration and short, so we can get back to our 32, 48, 64, 108, whatever number of rounds you'd like to chant today. I know somebody that's been chanting 80 rounds a day for the past 12 years. They're very happy. And they still do some service too. They're not a lot, but they make deity garlands and things. Something that we hear from Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas is a composition by Sanatana Goswami. And it's a how-to manual, how to do everything in devotional service, including mantra chanting. There's a section. And one of the recommendations in Hari Bhakti Vilas is when chanting mantra, where does your attention go? Your attention goes to the sound. And also the recommendation is to the meaning, the import, the potency of the name. The name carries a certain potency. And I heard part of Nityananda Pran's discussion, and he was covering some of that, specifically discussing the name of Ajita, and we'll touch on that also. But those of you that have read Bhagavad Gita, you know, it's starting from chapter 1. Arjuna addresses Krishna by different names, and each of those names carries a meaning. So he's, in essence, invoking a certain feature of Krishna. Krishna is unlimited, and the names of Krishna indicate some feature of Krishna. So we're going to, that's the message for this morning. And one other thing is, in Harinam Chintamani, book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's spoken by Haridas Thakur to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's kind of a role reversal. The student is instructing the teacher, but it's Lord Chaitanya's desire. He's empowering Haridas to speak, and he speaks. So he speaks about names of Krishna, not exactly meanings, but a relative hierarchy, primary and secondary names. We're going to touch on that. Secondary names indicate the position of God, the Supreme, all-powerful, almighty, all-knowing, the source of everything, greatest person, his position. Like, Prabhupada explains it like this: if you come before a judge, what you don't say his name, it's Your Honor, And when the judge comes in the courtroom, everyone rise because he's Your Honor. Or the media addresses the president, they don't call him by his name, Mr. President. The formality of the title or the name that indicates the position of God. That's secondary names. And primary names are names that indicate what he does. Krishna in his relationship with his devotees, his associates, and so forth. Those are primary names. And the secondary names have specific power, potency to liberate one. And beyond liberation, what's beyond liberation? Beyond liberation is entrance into loving exchanges, personal association with the Supreme Person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's meanings to Krishna's names, and there's specific power or potency within various names of Krishna. So we'll start with these secondary names. One of the secondary names we find in Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere is Janardana. Janardana refers to the Vishnu form of the Lord. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and commonly the Paramatma, the Lord of the heart, Janardana. He who's the original abode, this is Prabhupada's language, protector and maintainer of all living entities. This is the Paramatma feature. And the other Vishnu forms. Then another is Yogeshwara. It indicates his position. He's the master of mysticism. And so forth. There's a nice explanation given by Sutta Goswami, as you see the 12th canto, chapter 12. When people properly glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead or simply hear about his power, the Lord personally enters their hearts and cleanses away every trace of misfortune, just as the sun removes the darkness, or as a powerful wind drives away the clouds. Now, Krishna is already within our heart. So what does it mean, Krishna enters their hearts? Awareness of him enters the hearts. His presence is felt, and the awareness goes to his presence within the heart by hearing about his power. So these primary names, they carry that potency, the power of Janardana, and the potency of Yogeshwara, and so forth. And then there's primary names, where Mother Yashoda and her darling beloved son Nandana, Yashoda Nandana, it's a primary name. It indicates Krishna in his loving relationship with Mother Yashoda. And so many names because Krishna has so many associates, and one of those names is Gopal. Pala means to give protection, so Krishna is the protector of cows. And along with the cows, of course, are the other cowherd boys, and so there's this affection between Gopal and the other Gopas, the cowherd boys. They assist Krishna in herding the cows and associating with one another in loving exchanges. Then there's this other category that's names of Krishna that we find in the Bhagavatam that in one sense could be secondary names, like this name that Nityananda Pran was speaking about yesterday, Achyuta. It's a name of Krishna found in the Bhagavatam, specifically found in the Bhagavatam, indicating the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. There's a very nice reference where this appears in, again, the 12th canto. This is Sutta Goswami speaking about his spiritual master, Shukadev. Although, in the beginning, Shukadev Goswami was absorbed in the happiness of Brahman realization and was living in a secluded place, giving up all other types of consciousness. This image is showing Shukadev Goswami, very interestingly, was born after he was already 16 years old. And then he left the womb of his mother with the promise from Krishna that he won't fall prey to the influence of Maya, so he agreed to come out. And when he came out, as you see from the painting, he didn't have any clothes on. He was dressed by the four directions. And he just left home, heading for the forest, in this consciousness of Brahman, or the stage of neutrality, no attraction for anything material, and living in a state of Atma Rama, complete contentment within. However, Sutta Goswami says, he became attracted by the pleasing, most melodious pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. And the name of Krishna used in that verse is Ajita, most pleasing pastimes of, melodious pastimes of Lord Ajita. And there he is, right in the middle. There's Lord Ajita, Krishna, who is surrounded by all of his cowherd boyfriends, and the calves, all of whom showed this mystical potency to the Brahma of all the forms of Narayan for each one of the forms of the cowherd boys and the calves, because they, the cowherd boys and the calves, they're expansions of Krishna, as is Narayana expansions of Krishna. These are his intimate personal expansions, and Narayana is the Mr. President version, the all-opulent Lord of Vaikuntha, Narayana. And all of those are the same one, Krishna, because he's the source of everything. And hearing about such pastimes of Ajita, Shukadev Goswami left behind the Brahman realization of it's all one to the it's all everything in relation to Krishna. So that's the meaning of this name, Ajita. So when we hear Ajita, it's not the secondary name meaning, it's the primary. And other names, similarly, if one isn't familiar with Krishna's pastimes, this word Purushottama, it indicates his position. He's the greatest person. Purusha, Uttama. He's the greatest person, greatest of all persons. But knowing the pastimes of Krishna, here's a pastime of Krishna where he liberated 16,108 princesses by destroying the king who had captured them and imprisoned them. So he freed them from the prison by destroying this wicked king, and there they are, wishing that Krishna become their husband, all 16,108, and Krishna said yes. Not only he said yes, but he built a palace for each one of them, 16,100 palaces. And not only that, but he expanded himself into 16,108 Krishnas. That's Purushottama. That's not a Purusha, that's Purushottama, Krishna. Or another name that can be a secondary name, Rishikesh. Anyone that engages in service to the master of the senses, Rishikesh, that's with their senses. That's devotional service, with the intent of pleasing him. But his pastimes in Vrindavan, depicted here, Krishna's over on the left side, playing upon his flute, and the power of the sound of Krishna's flute, you can see from the painting, it not only attracted the hearts and the minds of the gopis, but the Shukadeva Goswami says it forcibly pulled them to him. That's Rishikesh, where it indicates the primary feature of Krishna. This is just meditation on meanings of names. So when we're chanting the Maha Mantra, it's good to appreciate the meaning. We'll touch on Krishna's name shortly. But there's other names. Here's Madhava. There's Madhava Gauranga over there. Madhava. Madhava literally means the husband of the goddess of fortune. So the husband of the goddess of fortune lives in Vaikuntha with Narayana. So he's called Narayana. But in Vrindavan, he's called Madhava because the goddess of fortune, the original goddess of fortune, there she is, seated next to Madhava, Srimati Radharani. And surrounding them are their associates, the trees and the cows and the cowherd girls and so many birds and associates of Madhava. And we appreciate this feature of Krishna in the deity form, Madhava, the deity in Sridham Mayapur. Another name of Krishna is Varshneya. We hear about it less, but it's one of Krishna's names. And it indicates that Krishna, in a relationship with Vrishni, or the descendants of Vrishni, so it's explained this way. Who knows about Vrishni anyway? But we hear about Vrishni because of Krishna. And therefore, Krishna is glorifying Vrishni by appearing in his dynasty, and he gets a name assigned to him. So he's everything. And one of the everythings that he is a descendant of Vrishni. Then another name of Krishna is Keshava. The meaning of Keshava is he who has fine, long, black hair. It's just a feature of Krishna, and it inspires us to think of the form of Krishna, the original form of Krishna, with this particular aspect of him, Keshava. Or another name is Madhusudana. Someone was asking the other day about Vishnu Sahasranam, and what about people that like Vishnu Sahasranam? These are all names of Vishnu, but as we said, these names of Vishnu, they're in the category of secondary names, except for those who connect those secondary names to the person, the primary person. In this case, Madhusudana is a function of killing a demon, Madhu. These two, Madhu and Kaitaba, they appeared very, 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 very early in the dawn of creation, and they stole from Brahma the Vedas. And Brahma went to Krishna, help. So Brahma came, or Vishnu came, or Krishna came, and destroyed Madhu. So Madhu, Sudana, killer of the demon Madhu. But our understanding, just like in Vrindavan, the Madhusudana name was spoken by Madhu Mangal. It's a nice story, Prem Sarovar. Here's a little short. One time, Radha and Krishna were seated together enjoying pastimes, and they were surrounded by their associates. And as they were enjoying their pastimes, Radharani had a very wonderful garland, and there were some bees coming around to take the nectar from the garland, the flowers on the garland. So Radharani was a little concerned with the bees, and Krishna turned to his dear friend Madhu Mangal. Is he here? Madhu Mangal is a Brahmana, very unique personality, because most of Krishna's friends were cowherd boys, Vaishyas. And Madhu Mangal is a Brahmana, but he's very special. So Madhu Mangal, you're a very qualified Brahmana. You must know some mantras. Can you get rid of these bees? Oh yes, I can get rid of bees. So he got rid of the bees and then said to Krishna, Madhu is gone. And means the bee is gone, or the bees are gone. But when Radharani heard Madhu is gone, she thought of Krishna, who is Madhusudana, and her mind went to Krishna's gone. And she began crying tears of separation. And Krishna could understand her mood, so he tried to pacify her. Radha, I'm right here. I'm right by your side. Madhu is here. But she was uncontrollably crying and crying in ecstatic love, not tamagun, crying in ecstatic love in the mood of separation from Krishna. And seeing this intense love of Radharani, Krishna's heart was also moved. And he began crying and crying out of the love that Radha had for him. And their tears formed a lake. And then the lake became known as Prem Sarovar. Sarovar means a lake. Small lake. Sarovar. For the residents of Vrindavan, this name Madhusudana is Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. And another similar name is Adi Sudana. In a generic sense, Krishna is the killer of the demons. And again, we hear from our acharyas, the feature of Krishna that kills the demons is Vishnu, because within Krishna is everything. But the devotees only think of Krishna in his personal feature. And therefore, as you see in the illustrations, Krishna subduing the Kaliya serpent and the Shakatasura and Bakasura and so forth. Krishna's wonderful pastimes, the delight of the hearts of his devotees. Similar to Varshnaya, as Yadava, Krishna appeared in the dynasty of King Yadu. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sang a song, Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha, Gopal Govindaram, Sri Madhusudan, Sri Madhusudan. It's the ecstasy of love when devotees call these names. And we're encouraged, we're instructed by Sanatana Goswami to meditate on the meaning of these names. Keshi, the Sudana, killer of the Keshi demon. Krishna, who is the son of Vasudeva, that's the picture of Vasudeva carrying Krishna across the river Jamuna, protected by Anantashesh in the middle of the stormy night. So Krishna is Vasudeva, the son of, it's a primary meaning. Krishna in his relationship with his devotees. And Govinda, We're almost done. Govinda, according to Jiva Goswami, this name Govinda, it makes it really clear. Krishna in his original feature as the protector of cows and the one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. You know the invocation verse for Brahma Samhita, Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir, Govinda. Govinda, there's no question. It's Goloka Vrindavan Govinda. There's no Govinda somewhere else. It's Govinda in Goloka Vrindavan. And his pastimes of giving pleasure to the cows and giving pleasure to the senses. He's a lover of the cows. And the cows love him, and not just the cows love him, but all the living entities within Vrindavan have deep loving attraction. So it's Krishna and the cows. Nice B.G. Sharma painting. There's two Krishnas in the painting. The lower right side, he's more mature. The upper left side, little boy, Govinda. Abundant cows, Nanda Maharaj, the king of the cow herds in Vrindavan, and his beloved son Nanda Nandana. Govinda, Nanda Nandana. And we have our deity form of Govinda. This is in New York, and this is the Jaipur Govinda, worshipped by Rupa Goswami. We're followers of Rupa Goswami as we're followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and there's his Govindaji deity. And then, of course, in our Maha Mantra, this name Krishna. Prabhupada explains the name Krishna is the best of names. Why the best of names? It sounds like there's a lot of best of names. Because within Krishna is everything. Within Krishna is everything. The all-attractive. And he's, as mentioned, he's attractive to the cows, but he's attractive to all the other forms of life. The peacocks and the creepers and the birds and whatever living entities there are in Vrindavan. They're all attracted to the all-attractive. They're not distracted. Here's a meaning. It's a holiday, it's okay. In Vishnu Sahasranam, one of the names in the 1,000 names of Vishnu is Krishna. And here's Baladev Vidyabhusan's commentary taken from Gopal Tapani Upanishad. The syllable Krish means existence, and the syllable Na means bliss. The combination of these two is Krishna, the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the existence of bliss. And one can expand a whole lot on that, but we're not going to do it this morning. Something that has inspired many devotees when we have japa retreats is this reference. You can meditate upon this, take inspiration from this. Jiva Goswami writes, when the word Krishna is uttered in a mantra, the very moment the first syllable is vibrated, this sound attracts the attention of Lord Krishna himself. Chanting is not just a behavior. As mentioned, it's a relationship. We're calling Krishna to accept us again in our eternal relationship with him. Of course, he's more than willing. But from our side, We walked away. Supposing you have a very dear relationship and something goes inside your head and you don't even say goodbye, you just leave the relationship. Not nice. And how long have we been away from that relationship, covered by illusion and forgetfulness and material activity and searching for separate happiness from Krishna, however we can get it. And now, it was a bad decision. So we want to go back to Krishna. Just say his name and Krishna's attention is there. Just see how kind he is. So when you're chanting this morning, for the rest of the morning until 2:15 or whenever you complete your chanting, this is a nice meditation. If your mind starts to wander, remember this one. Krishna's hearing and Krishna's attention is drawn to you, so be attentive to him. This is a very nice teaching that Krishna gives to Uddhava, pictured at the bottom at Krishna's feet as Uddhava, his dear most associate outside of Vrindavan, Uddhava. My dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment to all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotees. So the previous reference was Krishna becomes attracted, and here we have the opportunity of being in the association of so many devotees with their arms outstretched, trying to reach Krishna, trying to attract Krishna's attention and have our attention attracted to the all-attractive Krishna, despite the mind's tendency to be distracted. So in such company, it's a great opportunity, in such company, all material sense gratification attachment can be dropped, and we come under the control of Krishna, and Krishna is saying, that brings me under the control of my devotee. Now another name of Krishna is Shama Sundara. I picked this image out of a zillion of them because it's very clear. His complexion is like a dark monsoon cloud. Just before the rain comes, clouds become very dark. And the complexion of Krishna is like that. And of course, Krishna is not alone. He's with Srimati Radharani. So there's Radha Shamasundara, and the deity form of Radha Shamasundara. Many of you have been to Vrindavan, and you're familiar with the all-attractive beauty of Radha Shamasundara. Some of you live there, and some of you would like to live there. But just by calling the name, they're there. Now here's a very nice message. This is from Raghunath Das Goswami, where he writes in Stava Vali, mix the delicious nectar of the name, Radha, with the wonderfully sweet condensed milk of the name, Krishna. Add the fragrant ice of pure love and drink this elixir at every moment. This is a painting. The contrast is not so good. This is Raghunath Das chanting japa by the side of Radha Kund, and he was so absorbed in chanting that he didn't even notice right next to him were two tigers coming to drink water from Radha Kund. He was totally absorbed. At a distance was Sanatana Goswami observing this. The tigers went away, and Sanatana Goswami came and chastised him. He said, you're so absorbed in the holy name, but you're putting the Vaishnavas at risk, supposing the tigers gobbled you up, and that you would destroy the happiness of the devotees. It's such a dangerous thing. Can you please set up a residence for yourself, a little humble bhajan kutir? Raghunath Das said, yes, yes. And he didn't. Because he was so renounced. Then another time, in the midday sun, those of you that have been in Vrindavan in the summer, you know that heat is like an oven. So in the midday sun, there he is, chanting the holy name, and the heat of the midday sun was baking his body, burning his body. He was oblivious. He was so absorbed in the holy name. So Srimati Radharani came and held her veil. She stood in the sun, holding her veil so that the shade would protect the body of Raghunath Das Goswami. And when the heat of the midday sun went down, Radharani removed her veil and receded. Sanatana Goswami saw the whole thing. He said, that's it. Raghunath, we're building you a bhajan kutir, like it or not. Yes, yes. And they built him a bhajan kutir, very near to where Krishnadas Kaviraj had his. So absorbed in the holy name, so he's drinking this elixir at every moment. And he, from direct experience, understands how to make it. One more nice reference. This is from Narottam Das Thakur, similar to the mixing of Radha and Krishna's name. O brother, if you chant the name of Krishna, Radhika, being pleased with you, will bless you in many ways. And if you chant the name of Radha, Krishna will be pleased and fulfill your innermost desires. This instruction is the essence of all advice, beyond which there is nothing, and by which all troubles fly away from your heart. If you hear other words to the contrary, ignore them, for they will only bring misery and sorrow. Now, in our Mahamantra, we don't say Radha's name, we say Hare. And for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, this Hare is the vocative, is the call of Radha, because one of Radha's names is Hara, and the vocative becomes Hare. So we're calling, oh Radha, please engage me in the service of Krishna. The name of Krishna is none different than the form of Krishna, and the transcendental eyes of Krishna, as we're seeing Krishna in the form of his name, like we heard that Raghunath Das Goswami was seeing the form of Krishna in his Govardhan Shila, or Rupa Goswami was seeing the form of Krishna within his heart as he was chanting. Now Krishna is seeing us. And the lotus feet of Krishna are accessible if we take shelter of Krishna in the form of his holy name. Prema Tarangini spoke about this topic earlier. And this is our opportunity today also, taking shelter at the feet of Krishna's holy name, and thereby the feet of Krishna. And we have the association of so many devotees, so much nice instruction from our great acharyas to assist us. Kishore Kishori will have Tulsi Maharani come and encourage us also. So lots of resources, access them, and take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. The final image is a nice image of Radha Govinda. This is a very old photograph from the Henry Street Temple. It's called the ostrich outfit. Behind them are these ostrich feathers. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. So a little reminder, stay focused with faith in the holy name. Maintain carefully Mona Vrata, that means you hold the tendency to make sounds in one direction, the holy name, and take shelter there. Today's Ekadasi, so fantastic day for increasing your chanting and hearing. So you already know the schedule, we don't have to repeat the schedule. You can take breakfast when you like to take breakfast or not if you don't want to. And then lunch if you want to, whenever the schedule says. And we'll go until 2:15. I'm doing Subal's service right now. At 2:15 we'll come back and we'll have sharing of what your experience was. So be prepared if you wish to volunteer what your experience was, particularly for this 32 round, 48 round, 64 round, 108 round day. Happy journey, all of you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Nama Sankirtan ki.